Hey everybody, I'm Nurgle Snurgle, and this is a podcast idea that I've been working on for some time, and I've always started it, but I never really follow through with it because I just, I didn't think that maybe that was the right time, or I was very picky on how it looked, and lately I've been trying to just make content and just put it out there. So what a perfect time than right now to do this. So it is called Diary of a WargamHer. I have used that title before for different content, and I'm kind of reclaiming that title and making stuff how I intended to go with that title. I've always loved that title, and when I was making content, it wasn't really how I wanted it to be. I wanted this to be a diary. I wanted it to be a journal and something I could share with you, and something that you guys could follow along with and connect and possibly take some tips and tricks from whatever I have to say for your own journey as well. And so that's what this is going to be. A little brief introduction a little brief introduction of what it's going to be is something that I want to talk about the events I'm going to, or any impactful news that is going on in the world or in this community, or what's on my hobby desk at the moment. Right now it's Mogan Raw. And also a topic that I want to kind of deep dive more into with you. For example, this episode I think is a great way to just introduce who I am and who Nurgle Snurgle is. I still ask myself, who is Nurgle Snurgle? But it's me, and perhaps I will also learn who I am throughout this journey. So I'm very excited about that. So I just want it to be chill and calm. I've got my cozy sweater on. I've got my peppermint tea. It's night out, so I just want it to be relaxed, and I hope that you are also relaxed, and you can just follow along with what I have to say, and that if it calms you, if it brings down your anxiety, then that is a blessing. And I hope that, like I said, you can learn from probably the mistakes I'm going to share, or you can relate to what I share as well. So I guess first off, to talk about would be I did a GT this past weekend, and it had been quite some time since I've done a GT, and I think the last one, let me kind of I did a teams tournament in November. Now that was only one day, so it doesn't really count. So the last one was August, and that was travel to Moncton, where I played at Mork's GT, and it was grueling. It was 6 rounds. So the first day was 4, and the next day was 2. So that was exhausting. And then leading up to February 25th, 6th, was a lot of time in between. So how did it go? It went pretty well. It was just great to be at the event and to see all the guys again. I really appreciated that so much. I love the people in this community. I love seeing them together and happy, and seeing their smiles, and seeing them come together and work together as a team to make an event happen. It's really, really neat. And it was great to help them set up and then tear down and just work together. Plus, I got to see some people I hadn't seen in a very, very long time. I'll shout him out. Basement Wargaming Tyler. It was phenomenal to see you again. And happy to say, sidebar, he has gotten me into Attack on Titan, so I'm kind of doing that as well this past week. Blood God and I have been binging. So thank you for that introduction to a great show. But for the GT, let's get back on track. Sorry, I do ramble. I will let you guys know. Fair warning, disclaimer. I just get really excited, and the algorithm for Instagram sometimes pushes ADHD content on me. I don't know if that's what I have. But I relate sometimes. I just have to say, peppermint tea in the evening with a little bit of honey is phenomenal. So, back to the GT. I took a list that I was not familiar with. I made the list, I submitted the list, but I hadn't tested it. Sometimes not the best course of action to do when going to a GT, but I took it on the grounds that I just did not want to move 100+ bodies. So I took many chunky bodies. I took 4 Great Unclean ones and 1 Soul Grinder, and took some Tough 9 units and just hoped that my matchups would be in my favor, and fight things that weren't that strong. I really wanted to fight Eldar because they're so squishy. I had spells to do one of their toughness, so if I can make them Nurgling tough, I find that a little bit of a giggle inside of me. So I fought demons, I fought Tau, I fought Emperor's Children, World Eaters, and Grey Knights. All tough armies, and it was a lot of fun. Demons was my only win, only because I knew what that list could do. And unfortunately for the other battles, I got defeated. It was a rough GT for me. It was probably the worst that I've ever done, that I've ever performed. But I don't want to make too many excuses. But it was what it was. It is what it is. And I still wouldn't change it for the world, because I had a great time, and I needed it as well. I needed to see some friends. I needed to see some people smiling and being happy, and seeing other people as well, not just Warhammer players. I got to see a little small group of men with remote control planes. They rented the other side of the gymnasium, and they were flying the planes and doing tricks, and that was really cool. Jared's cousin popped in. Surprisingly, that was awesome to see his face. And then we also had children walking through and admiring the models and the armies, and that's probably my highlight of GTs. If we're at a hotel or a gymnasium and there's little children wandering around. I love seeing their eyes light up and their look of wonderment of, wow, what is this? It's something I cherish. So that was my GT weekend. I did take home the win for the best painted army, and I have to preface that, I do have to say that I love the way that it was judged. Now, I'm a really humble person, and it's gone to a point where when I show up to GTs or RTTs, people are just like, oh, well, Kaylee wins, and yep, Kaylee is gonna take home the win. And I'm just like, stop. So the way that this was judged was with the staff of this facility, and I feel like that is the fairest way to judge a painting competition. Have people who hopefully know about art, but who aren't really in the Warhammer community and don't really know each other and have no way of playing favorites of any kind. And when I won, I was kind of shocked. I'm always shocked when I win, because it felt that much more humbling, that much more meaningful as well. So that was that. I can't wait for the next one. There's one happening at the end of March with the deck box at the hotel downtown, so I'm really excited for that. There's also an RTT in Moncton. I still have to figure out if I'm going or not. Hopefully. I'm having fun getting back into Warhammer. Even I played 3 games the week before the GT, and then afterwards I played 3 more with Blood God, and I'm filming the battle reports and uploading them to YouTube, and that's been really fun. So overall, just playing more games has been great. Another thing happened this week actually, and that was 40 push-ups for 40K had ended. It was a month full of push-ups every day, 40 of them, and it was spearheaded by Sparkhammer Minis, and I just have to say congratulations to everybody who was able to complete it. I unfortunately wasn't able to, but I watched those videos every day, and it brought a smile to my face. Just seeing everybody come together and do that for themselves, it was so admirable. I loved it. And Bithammer and Sparkhammer just out there motivating the masses, like chef's kiss. So yes, congrats to all who did that. I'm gonna do my own, I think. Now, my life did kind of veer off to what felt like, I'm not gonna say the wrong term, but it just veered off, and I was doing a lot of self-discovery at that time, and I think I needed to. I was in this go, and I was kind of just not really thinking about myself, and there were some things that were happening in my life that I couldn't control, and it was news it just sucked, and I needed to process it and really keep grounded and be okay with what feels like bad news. And so that took a lot of my energy and my focus, and I felt guilty every day for not doing it. There wasn't a day that didn't go by where I didn't think about it, but I knew I needed to do this, and I'm happy that I did, because it was igniting a fire inside me to move on, to move forward, and it felt fantastic. So that's kind of what happened. I discovered a podcast during this time, and it was an artist podcast by Adam Duff, and he talked about being an artist and what it's like to be an artist, and the toxicity and the environment of being an artist, and I really resonated with it. I never listened to others talk about being an artist, and to hear it and to listen and to relate to it felt very warming, very comforting, and it felt good to know that I am an artist. It's something I've always wanted to be, and I just never truly understood what it was. I always thought it was something that you earned or was granted, or someone needed to give you the title. And I don't know why I thought that way, but listening to Adam Duff and what he had to say, I took that ideology and I whipped it out. I was like, I cannot think that way. And realizing that I am this artist really opened up my eyes to what I've been creating and essentially who I am as a person, as a creator, as just the artist. So the big question and a big topic of this episode is, who is Nurgle Snurgle? And where did Nurgle Snurgle come from? I've shared this story before, but there's a lot of new people that keep coming in, and I want to create these series so that if you are curious, you can watch these and listen and form whatever vision you have of who I am in your own mind. So, first off, I gotta talk about the name. It's it's something that is very attractive to people. And it's something that I guess I crafted it to be. It was a 7-second name. I knew I was in love with Nurgle at the time. I really enjoyed the stories that Blood God would tell me about who Nurgle was, and the idea that there's creatures in this universe that have smiles on their face, even if it's grim and dark. And I love that. So I wanted to do something with Nurgle. And I went, Nurgle Snurgle? And I had this huge smile on my face, and I thought, if I can make someone smile by saying my name, I think that's pretty great. And so Nurgle Snurgle was born, and it's been quite the ride. I have loved it all. Now, it's not always been like high, like fantastic. I've had a lot of things I've had to deal with throughout being Nurgle Snurgle, but it's almost like an onion where I just keep peeling back the layers, and there's more layers and there's more layers, and it's just, there's so much I'm discovering about myself through Nurgle Snurgle, and I get to really be creative with that name, and it's a lot of fun, and I suggest others to do the same. Just to make up a name, or just make up a name, but keep you real, keep you genuine, and just play around with it. It's super cool. And it's like a conversation I had today where this buddy of mine in real life, he sent me a message of FitHammer tagging me, and he goes, I see a wild Nurgle Snurgle or something like that. And I was like, she be wildlin'. and furthered on that by saying, that's crazy, that's weird, because it feels oddly normal to do what I do, with just uploading and connecting with you guys and seeing what the community's up to. But when it comes to real life people connecting with Nurgle Snurgle, that's when it gets kind of weird. And I've had a couple people who have been like, oh yeah, I watch your content, or I've been really liking your content, and it's people I know in real life, and it's just, it's a funny dynamic. I'm still inquiring of it. I'm still trying to understand it, and once I do, I'll share more on that. But the Nurgle Snurgle started on Instagram in October of 2018. I remember this like it's maybe not the back of my hand, but I remember that that time, and that I painted my first mini and posted it, and it the rest was history. And I remember there was another picture I posted that it was from a game that I was kind of experimenting with a buddy and Blood God and friends. And when I took the picture of this miniature and at the top of this cliff, looking down with some trees and some foliage. And once I took that picture and was able to capture a moment, I kind of knew that was the beginning of it all. Because there was just something, I love photography and I love creating scenes, and there was just something very magical and touching about it. And I think you can go through my entire gallery. I've shared so much. Sometimes I go back and I'm like, wow, there is, oh yeah, I did that. Oh yes, that. Oh yeah, that. There's a lot, and I feel so much gratitude to have this type of technology where I'm able to document this and look back on it like a journal and reflect on how I was and the person I was then, and correlate with them with who I am today, and I'll always be me. I've had a lot of things in my life taken away, stripped away. I've been what it feels like stripped to the bare bone. But the one thing that stayed and was with me was my will, my freedom, my want to be an artist, to be who I am, to bring joy to the world. I've never stopped that, even when it looks like the world can get very ugly. That's not my world. That's not the world I want. I want a world of sharing and caring and loving and being. And that's how I am, and that's how I'll always be. I'm sorry if that went kind of deep. But prior to Nurgle Snurgle, I was just a person figuring out life. I was following a career in the culinary industry. I moved up ladders. I was pastry chefs multiple times. I was sous chef. I was chef de cuisine. I was chef de partie. I traveled a lot throughout this industry, and meaning in the roles, not so much in places and physically. I'm talking about just in the hierarchy of these jobs. And it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. I pushed, I stressed myself a lot, and figured out what were some of my tipping points and found enjoyment making food, trying new foods, sharing new foods, and creating memories. But man, that industry really hindered me as well. When you do hear people talk about how toxic the environments are, they are not joking, they are not lying. There have been some very bad actors in cooking, and sometimes their path is to destroy and to take away, and I fell victim to it too many times. I don't know why. I like working really hard, and I like making the machine work. I found enjoyment in that. Some people, not so much. Some people like to put the stick through the cogs just to see what happens. And so I'm kind of in my tail end of my career, I think, in cooking. I'm very fortunate with the position that I have right now. I'm kind of a pastry chef, and I really like that my heart and soul is pastry. I had a lot of fun when I was first pastry chef, and there's something about making sweets and giving people bliss. So, and there's a lot of creativity with it. So I think I've always been a pastry chef at heart. Yep. Prior to that, I was a small town prairie girl baby who then moved to the West Coast and was exposed to a lot of hardship. I have seen things and witnessed things that I have luckily not repeated in other parts of this world. It was intense. If you are from the West Coast, I think you can agree. You can write in the comments down below, I agree. And that was interesting teenage years. And then I traveled Canada. I traveled Canada several times by trains, planes, and automobiles. And I would stay in hostels. I would meet people from all around the world: Australia, South Africa, South Korea, Russia, just all over America, South America, just you name it. And that was a really beautiful experience to touch with people and listen to their stories and how they grew up and what they had to share. That was amazing times in my life. I'm really, really glad I did it. There's so many stories I could share with that. And then my deep down core, like I said, I'm an artist. I love photography. I love drawing. You'll usually see me make cards for Christmas, because there's just something so connective with that. I'd rather make you something than buy you something. I'm still buying supplies, but my time means a lot to give. I want to take moments in my life to think of you, to think what you might like, what card would be perfect for you, and write it out and draw it out. And yeah, that's just what I do. So yeah, that's kind of just me in a nutshell. I don't know what else to really say. I get really nervous in front of a camera still. Even though I've done it many times now, I don't feel comfortable with it, but it's now something I just accept that I do. I turn on the mic, I turn on the camera, and before it was really hard. I can't tell you how many times and how much footage I have, or how much just stuff I have on my computer of years ago, just me trying and testing and making it sound right. You can even ask Blood God how many times we had or tested out podcasts, and it, like, I'd listen back and I would hear the little buzzing sound. I'm like, no, I can't like upload that. But I took a lot of time watching YouTube videos and listening to advice and trying to apply it. And hopefully I picked up some valid information and applied it. So that's that in a nutshell. Like I said, I'm very nervous right now. I'm rambling. I feel like I'm not piecing the puzzle together properly, but I know for certain that once I do this a couple more times, I'll feel more comfortable and relaxed and calm and more ready and prepared to present this for you guys. Again, I just want to share what it's like to be a wargamer, especially a female wargamer. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's not impossible. And if my experience can inspire or help in any way possible, then me taking that time to do this, to present it, to put it together, to get past any fears I may have, all of that will be worth it. And it is a gift from me to you. So I don't know what to think. I don't think, I'm on the fence of saying I don't know if I'll get this deep in other episodes, but perhaps I'll even get deeper. And that's not really a bad thing. I just hope I'm not rambling that bad with the other episodes. But yeah, so that has been what's happening. Currently what's on my mind, I gotta paint. I got Morgan Raw I need to paint. I hope that this is good. I hope that you kind of got a little bit of a sense of who I am. I'm probably not going to reveal my hand of who I am right off the bat, because that would cause more rambling and would be a very long podcast. But going forward, I'm very optimistic about what it's going to look like. I have thoughts of, like I said, GT preparation, techniques that I've picked up, ways I like to learn, and the events that I go to, perhaps even going a little bit deeper about what it's like to be a female who war games and goes to GTs. It's a lot different than being a guy. Let's just say that. I'll let your imagination run wild. So yeah, thank you so much if you've made it this far. That means a lot to me. It really does. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that Warhammer saved my life. When I think about my life before Warhammer, it was very cloudy and foggy, and I was in misdirection. And when I started to dive deeper into Warhammer and practice it on a daily, it taught me a lot of life lessons and gave me insight of who I am. And I couldn't do most of that without you, without people having interest in what I'm doing and asking me questions about what I'm doing, and me being able to answer that back. It's been a very joyful ride, and I look forward so much to the future. It's bright, it's beautiful, and if it's like my army, it might be a little disgusting. No, I'm just kidding. And for example, this week, I laid out my army, and it sat there for a little while, and I was able to catch a glimpse of it here and there, and I turned to Blood God, and I was like, wow, my army is really bright. It's really colorful, and somehow I inspired myself as much as I've inspired you. So that will probably be the end of this episode. Again, thank you so much for making it this far. If you like this content, please leave a like and a thoughtful, helpful comment. If you're gonna troll, you can go do that on my Instagram. Just don't do it on my YouTube. I'm just kidding. No trolls allowed. Consider subscribing so you can keep up with the content that I'm making. If you have looked at my YouTube lately, I understand it's all over the place, but know that it's just me trying, just me playing. I'm treating this as a playground, and if you want to play with me, you can tag along. Let's I was a swing girl. I like the swings, or the wooden bridge that would rock around. probably be there. Anyways, I want to leave you on this note that you are amazing. You are fantastic. And I wish you all the best, and that I love you with all my heart. If you listen to Adam Def, that's how he ends it, and I feel so much joy when he says that. Like, it feels as though he means it, and it's a very nice way of how he ends his podcast. So, I love you with all my heart, and ciao for now.